A lot of people under the age of 25 don't know what a roll. It's an antique contact manager is what it is. They sell them at the Goodwill secondhand stores and things like that. Anyway, so I read this book, and so when I went out and bought a Rolodex when I was very young, and I developed the habit of meeting people and sending handwritten cards. Actually, when I was very young, like many of you, my mom told me to write thank you cards to my relatives when they gave us, holiday gifts and things like that, and birthday gifts, and I did that, and I got in the habit. And after reading Harvey McKay's book years ago, actually, I don't know when, I should probably look and see when it was written, but I was in my 20s, actually, when I read this book for the first time. And I started doing all that stuff and just staying in touch with people, and I filled the Rolodex up. And when the Rolodex got full, I started taking those business cards and putting them into shoe boxes and in drawers. How many of you have that same habit where you collect business cards and you find yourself at your home where you've got hundreds of them or even thousands? Raise your hand. Okay, there's lots of people like that. But I had no system for staying in touch with those people. And then what happened was when DeMar sent me a card in the mail, it had a DVD in it. I didn't watch the DVD. I got another card from DeMar, and I didn't know who this guy DeMar was. He just kept sending me cards. And at one point, I watched one of the DVDs, and all of a sudden, it was like my life flashed before my eyes, and I said, I have to have this system. And it actually cost some, I think Eric says it's $785, but it's actually $745 to sign up back then. A lot more than it is today. And it was like, I would have honestly, if I had had $10,000 sitting in a checking account, I would have signed up for $10,000. I believe it was that valuable. And I signed up to use it with no intention of building it as a business. And I have a home in the mountains in a small town in Arizona called Jerome. It's an old mining town. How many of you have ever been to Jerome, Arizona? It's a little mining town that had 15,000 miners in the 1800s and early 1900s. And then everybody left when the gold went away, and it became copper, and it went into a ghost town. And for 60 years, Jerome was just a ghost town. And I moved up there about 8 years ago, and it's a beautiful place. You can see Sedona, and it's like a little bed and breakfast, and the oldest saloon in Arizona is up there, and it's got horse and buggy rides, and it's beautiful. At night, when the sun goes down, the stars are just incredible, and the air is really clean up there. It's just a beautiful place. So anyway, I go and take my little Bio laptop. When I get out and send out cards, I go out onto my deck with a box of business cards, and I start pulling business cards out of the box, and I get on my little Bio with my wireless internet, and I start sending greeting cards to people. And the cards were just, hey, I haven't talked to you in a long time, sure would like to get caught up, why don't you give me a call, hope you're doing great, and I put my picture in it and hit send. And as Eric mentioned, I did that 81 times in 2 days, and 3 or 4 days later, my phone started ringing with people wanting to just reconnect. Now, I wasn't doing send-out cards, so I wasn't in it. But I was interested in it because I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And whenever you find something cool, like how many of you, when you were a kid, knew what Rock'em Sock'em Robots were?
Yeah!
Woo! I had Rock'em Sock'em Robots when I was a kid. And when I had that, I would go to school and I'd tell everybody about my Rock'em Sock'em Robots. As I was so excited about them as a kid. And that's how send-out cards was to me. It was like the coolest thing ever, and I wanted to tell everybody about it. So when these people called me, in the course of our conversation and finding out what they'd been up to, they asked me what I was up to, and I wasn't up to anything. But I said, have you heard of send-out cards? And they'd say no, and I'd say, sometime I gotta show you something kind of cool. They go, what is it? I go, well, are you near your computer? They said, yeah, and I gave them my username and password. And I told them how to send a card, and I actually walked them through sending a card on the phone. And this is where the gift account walkthrough came from. Because most of you know, a lot of you know, that the way we introduce send-out cards is to give it away. We give it to people with a free account. And that's kind of where it came from. It's like I would get somebody on the computer and I'd have them send a card to someone that they cared about. And what I found out is without ever drawing a circle, without ever renting a hotel room, without ever going over a compensation plan presentation or anything like that, all of a sudden I saw people started asking me a lot of questions. They were interested. And then they want to know how much it costs. And so I called DeMar, get DeMar on the phone, and we'd answer their questions. And within a week of actually doing that, I had 4 people that were like really interested. They were asking a lot of questions. And eventually, some of them started to sign up. And then out of those 81 people, over the next few weeks, as Eric mentioned, 38 of them signed up into the business. So that's kind of how I started. Then I started thinking, there's millions of people out there that can use this. And you take a pen and a paper and you go millions of people and you start saying, now I'm going to share some things with you that I've learned since then. that's really exciting about what we got. And it's kind of related to the whole Netflix story, but I want to share, I'm going to expand it a little bit so you can get a sense of what's been going on. See, for the past 10 years or so, actually a little more than that, the greeting card industry, controlled by two major companies, Hallmark and American Greetings, has been flat. It's been about a $7.5 billion industry for over 10 years. And they spent millions and millions and millions of dollars trying to get it to grow. And it's just not growing. Now along come send-out cards. Now before I do that, the average consumer in the greeting card industry spends about $3 a month. Just $3 a month. Here's how it goes. You think of somebody, you get in your car, you go down to the store, you pick out the card. It takes you about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes to get there, pick out the card, get home, and then if you have a pen and a stamp, that card gets mailed. You heard Cody on here talking about becoming a $1 billion greeting card company. Do you realize that there's over $1 billion a year in cards that never even get sent? They get purchased and they never even get sent. So, because we don't have a pen and a stamp, how many of you, honestly, how many of you have at least one greeting card that you purchased and it's in a drawer and you have no idea who you bought it for? Everyone. Now, I'm going to divert for just a minute. I'll share something you can do to guarantee that your greeting card will never get thrown away. Put a baby's picture on it. Now, let me ask you a question, honestly. How many of you have at least one baby picture? And it's like almost sacrilegious to throw a baby picture away. You have at least one baby picture in a drawer, you have no idea whose baby it is. You still have it. People don't throw them away. So the average consumer in the greeting card business spends $3 a month on cards. The average consumer in our business, the average customer in our business spends $30 to $40 a month on greeting cards, and our cards are 1/5 the price.